So this morning we got a 69 Mustang Mach 1 428 car coming in for a total restoration. Eve?
Greg.
Nice to meet you. So Eve told me that it was gonna be rough. Wow. He was right. This thing is a little rotten.
You know, everybody's saying, oh, this is iconic and that is iconic, but the Mustang actually is an iconic automobile. It really started the whole muscle car trend. When Lee Iacocca kicked that car off at the World's Fair in 1964, the world jumped up, and there was nothing like it. Year after year, the car kept getting better and getting more attractive. It kept on getting faster, and it ended up being the ultimate muscle car. And the Mach 1, it had performance improvements and it also had luxury improvements, and it was an instant hit.
Well, I've been looking for a 69 Mach 1 R-Code for a long time, and got it close to my hometown. It was in storage for a while. It's rough, but it's there.
Somebody's been at her with some mud.
Mud all the way around.
Yeah. So there it is, the R-Code. Well, let's see what she looks like under here. Oh, yeah. Actually, I'm surprised the front rails and everything look pretty solid.
Because of all the leaking of the engine,
Yeah.
it kept everything undercoated, I guess.
Yeah. Eve's got his own engine performance shop. He's got the 428 out of this, and he's gonna be building it, and he's gonna build it right to spec.
I want it all
Exactly.
exactly when it was born.
Perfect.
It's called a rebirth.
Rebirth. Absolutely.
Either you customize it all the way, or you keep it original all the way. That's my belief a car should be. That's why I'm so adamant to make it right. That's why I'm here.
As bad as this one looks, because it's a 69 Mach 1, 428 Cobra Jet, keeping the main structure is probably worthwhile on this car.
Yeah.
This thing is right on the cusp of saying, maybe not. But he really wants it, and this is a very important car in the world of muscle cars. Retail value on this car when it's done is north of 200,000. They are very collectible, and when they're done, they're beautiful.
It's my dream car, so.
Oh. So we actually have another 69 R-Code Mustang here right now that came in about 6 months ago. And so I can actually take Eve in and show him exactly what he's gonna get. Well, this one's in the shell for him. Doesn't have any stripes on it yet.
Well, you can see my hair standing on my arm, so it was awesome. Looked at the body, it's just flawless.
Yeah.
The body lines were straight, no waves.
Everything back to factory specs in here. What to look forward to.
Oh, hey, I got a dose of it now.
That's great that this one was here to see.
I'm pretty anxious now.
Yeah. This car is gonna have to be acid dipped. The acid dipping removes all grime, fillers, everything else, and just leaves the bare metal so we can actually see what needs to be done.
Are we gonna fall through?
And once we get everything off, we can see where the next step is.
Just gonna put a lot of money into it.
Everything's fixable. It's just the time, right? In the money, but the time.
We're hoping when it comes back from the dippers that we just don't have a couple of A-pillars and a window frame or something.
A rotten banana.
You know, we'll see what it's like.
So you left this coffee cup here a little bit too long. That's what I had on my coffee table.
When this 1935 Plymouth PJ Deluxe came in, well, the engine was just a little too far gone to be rebuildable. So we've replaced it with something more modern. And the interior was a bit scruffy. So we're fixing that up. You know, the end result's gonna be, it's gonna be reliable and a little more comfortable.
Ronnie and I have been putting a new engine and transmission in, and Ronnie installed a cool automatic shifter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it doesn't fit underneath the original floorboards. When I tried to test fit it in the car, there's not enough clearance for the shifter mechanism. I was hoping I could just hole saw a hole big enough to put the ring on to hold down the boot.
Oh, that's got to be pretty tall.
But we're needing a little more space than what I originally anticipated. So I think what I'm gonna do is make a lifted up area for the boot to sit on, and that should accommodate the shifter mechanism.
I'm gonna make a little cardboard version of what I want first.
You can mock it up and sort of visualize it a lot easier if you use a piece of cardboard first. You can almost test fit stuff with cardboard. So now my original piece of floor should be able to sit right on top of it. And if you get it close enough, you can actually trace that right onto a piece of steel. I'll use some 18 gauge cold rolled steel, which is a typical body panel material. All right, let's try to cut that out. I'll be able to make that work. I think I'll grab a hammer. If I get it fit really tight now, it'll make the welding a lot easier. Then I can clean up all the edges. Once it's welded, it'll look awesome. Anytime I make something from scratch, it just makes sense to tack fit and test fit. It's a piece of the puzzle that you gotta work step by step. You don't wanna get ahead of yourself. I'm just gonna test that before I carry on. And sometimes there's a lot of back and forth, and you gotta go from my work table back to the car and fit it. And that takes some time. There you go. But it's worth it in the end rather than making something and then going to test fit it and you have to cut it all apart. Sure is tight, but it is functional. I sort of eyeballed it on the bench, and then when I put it in the car, it was a little off. I think I'll lower that side. And that's a perfect example why you tack weld something. I just brought it back over to my bench, cut the welds off, adjusted it, test fit again, and I was much happier with that fitment. Well, for such a small adjustment, that made a big difference.
We spent the last couple of days taking apart the '69 Mustang and getting it ready just to go to the dippers. Anything that's left on the car when it goes into the acid dipping is going to be peeled off. Any paint, any fillers, any rubbers, any wiring, anything else, it's not going to be there when it comes out.
It's badass acid bath. The stuff that would eat you to nothing is the only way to get it clean. Take all the rust and everything off of it. And that'll leave us with something to work with, hopefully.
Instead of getting at it with the grinders and stuff, we are going to be able to see everything right away. It's going to take all the mystery out of the car.
There has to be some level of quality, even with a piece that you don't see. You can't just leave it all scraggly underneath.
I love the old Model A. You can hear them coming for blocks. You just know the sound.
I already got my gloves on. I'm all ready. Let's get this out of here. Today I went out to pick the Model A up. So the customer was moving it into the garage and he heard a very loud clunk. So we're gonna investigate the large clunk and see if it's a driveline problem.
Oh, very nice.
And then he was also complaining about some overheating.
Wow, it looks great still, huh? Paint's held up. It's been a couple of years. And the customer brought this in about 3 years ago, and we did a bunch of work to it, body and paint and interior.
You know, one of the things of having a restoration shop is you end up in long-term relationships with a lot of your clients.
Okay, Mike, so what we're gonna do is take your seat covers off and make your seats look new.
That's very true of restorations, where they could go from 6 months to 5 years or more.
I think that's just about what I'm looking for right there.
You get a lot closer to people because you spend more time with them and because you're sharing their passion for something.
Outstanding.
And they know if they got a bit of trouble, they can phone us and we'll get to it immediately.
Contact.
Yeah, you're good. Straight back. Yep.
After he heard a major clunk, he was pretty concerned with it, which you have to be with these old things.
Model A's, for instance, needed constant attention from the owners and from service shops. And in those days, you could go to your local gas station and have them pull the engine apart, fix it, and put it back together in a couple of days. Well, that's not true of cars anymore, but rules haven't changed in that car's world.
I love the old Model A. You can hear them coming for blocks. You just know the sound. Car means a lot to them. It's been in the family for many years, and they want to get it back and make it run, drive perfect. You fixed it.
Well, it's got second. I got it in the second, so
That's strange.
seems good. That doesn't seem like he's had a catastrophic failure of the driveline, so that's a big thumbs up. But then we have to investigate the cooling system as well. It's getting to the high side. It says 190 now.
Okay.
It was a little too warm today to be popping the rad cap and investigating inside the radiator. I'm thinking it might have a little bit of sludge or rust or whatnot in it.
I wonder whether the water pump should be no good. He's doing a little bit of cavitating there.
I'm hoping that's a quick fix to flush the rad and get the gunk out, so to speak.
Well, we can let her cool down for a bit.
All right, I'll move it over there. So we're gonna investigate the overheating problem and then take it for a test drive and really investigate the transmission and the driveline.
So now I've got to weld in my new riser on the transmission tunnel on the Plymouth. Then I can clean up all the edges. Well, it'll be pretty enough to cover with some sort of rubber or material. It's pretty gross under here. There has to be some level of quality, even with a piece that you don't see. We are manufacturing a part of somebody's car, so you can't just leave it all scraggly underneath. I think that'll be fine for the bottom of a car. I think that's perfect. The shifter will cycle through all the gears without touching the floor. So that's sort of the main thing. This looks like the boot. That looks a little too small. That might be an upholstery guy thing. So you see where the shifter's coming out?
Yeah.
The kit came with a little dunce cap looking dude.
Well, the boot that came with it was only about this tall. As it is, it just hits the bend. And the shifter's like this big. It's gonna look a little clownish. Could sit up about here, I would say. I'll make it the same width, just make it longer by about 4.5 inches, 5 inches. I figured I'd at least make it come up halfway so it would cover most of it.
Thanks. We'll make it look good.
Okie dokie.
So the 30 Model A checked out the cooling system and discovered that the water pump, at some time it's been rebuilt, and when they rebuilt it, they missed putting a little thrust washer in that keeps the water pump from moving back and forth. Well, before I took the water pump off, I could see that there was an excessive amount of play in it. So what happened is, when you would drive it, the water pump would jam back and it wouldn't turn. So you weren't getting the cooling fan and you weren't getting the flow of liquid through the engine. And when you slow down, it would pop back. You open the hood, oh, everything looks great. As soon as you drive again, once it jammed against the block, it wouldn't turn. No water flow, no airflow from the fans. Overheat. That was a big discovery. And then, you know, the impeller, as soon as I took the water pump off, I could see on each fin that had been hammering against the inside of the engine. They've ordered the new parts for it. I'm gonna put a new impeller and shaft in it, and once I rebuild it and set it so it doesn't walk all over, I think we'll be golden with this car.
Holy mackerel. Well,
Oh, look at the sun shining through all the pinholes.
isn't that pretty?
So I went down to the dippers.
She's a little rough.
I've seen worse.
Yeah. Seen worse that it was going to be restored or be crushed.
To pick up the remnants of the '69 Mustang.
Oh, boy.
I knew it was gonna be bad, but it was really bad.
Holy Swiss cheese. This is a good panel.
That and the roof.
Wow. We didn't know how bad it was going to be until we sent it.
You ready?
It can't be that heavy. You know, when they come in and they're covered up with paint, and we know that there's damage underneath, we know that there's filler in it. We just don't know to what extent things have been done.
You up for a challenge there, young fella?
Rob?
This one, whoever did the body work on it, you know, covered everything up really well. Holy mackerel.
Looks like she's had a little bit of repair work done
A little.
every time.
So she was hit up in the front at
For
one point.
sure, it's been crinkled here pretty good, you can see. And then where they fixed it, where it's all buckled. Not too many of these cars didn't go into the ditch, though, because, hey, look at the
428.
racing, showing off to your buddies.
OMG. A hell of a lot of bronze in it.
It's been patched up, and they brazed every patch panel in. Oxyacetylene
Yeah.
with a torch and a stick, and just heat it up, make your puddles, and join it together, where we use MIG, TIG.
So this is old school for sure.
All the bronze has to come out too to weld it.
Dissimilar metals, you know, that's where everything's going to start puking out at the beginning. So we want to get all the bronze out of there.
The firewall's rotted right out of it, too, both sides. Maybe it was flooded at some time.
I think it was dragged out of a swamp. This car is tough. Well,
Oh, look at the sun shining through all the pinholes.
isn't that pretty? I mean, we've had them tough, we've had them rougher. This one, because of its heritage, because of what it is, makes sense to rebuild it. Well, anything's doable. I mean, the main part of the car is here. It's a special car anyway. It's a 69 Mach 1, 428. When it's done, it's a high dollar car. A lot of pieces are gonna be changed, but it's still gonna have that original car. So you can go buy an aftermarket unit looking just like this, except all brand new. But drops the value 80 grand right away. This car is probably, you know, one of the worst ones that you'd see in this stage. And then we'll get it in the metal shop and get it up on the rotisserie and body paint. It'll be ready to go. We'll never get another one of those now.
Yeah, it's a big project.
There are still some great parts on this. If you can point them out, you can have them. But when we're done with it, it will be one thing of beauty.
Well, it's all the little things that make it look special. That's pretty much the trick, make it look like you didn't just throw something in there, it's always been there.
Oh, yeah, she goes nice now. Woo-hoo-hoo. Get her up on two wheels around there.
I'm working on the 35 Plymouth today, just finishing up the carpet. Talon put a riser for the new shifter, so I had to make a cover to go around it. I ended up using the carpet, which all blends in nice. I had to make a taller boot cover, did it in black leather, and I put a little black welt on the bottom so that when it comes down together, it seals everything and makes it look like it's finished. So it all looks like it's part of the car, not just something that's thrown together. Well, just trying to make this all look pretty here when we get it together. It just screws on so it covers it up and finishes it off.
Dan's job is to take what everybody else has done and cover it up, you know? It's great when you have floor work and you have building a console and making beautiful seat brackets and everything else, and then Dan comes in, covers it with leather and carpet.
Thing of beauty.
Everybody goes, good job, Dan. Nobody can see the other work, but his work is phenomenal. The 35 Plymouth is looking beautiful.
Well, it's all the little things that make it look special.
And it's a similar shifter to the original one, but now it's an automatic. It's exactly what the customer wanted. He wanted everything to look original, but have the modern amenities.
That's pretty much the trick, make it look like you didn't just throw something in there, it's always been there. It looks quite nice, it all came together well.
Well, it looks like Brad's got the Model A up and running, got the water pump all fixed up.
We were waiting for some parts to arrive, and we got a call that the guy was having a problem getting the parts. So we scrambled, made a new plan. I had Talon make up a new cooling pipe for me, and I made my own shims for the water pump, so the shaft wasn't walking all around. Got that assembled in, and then I noticed that the alternator pulleys aren't aligned right, and that was a big cause of the water pump starting to walk back into the engine.
The shaft was shifting back and forth so much because the alternator that was put on it, it would have had a generator before, but it was upgraded at one point, was offset and it kept pulling it back.
You know, he was hearing a clunk sound, starting to wonder if that clunk sound could have been the impeller hitting inside the block. So I realigned all that, Got a new belt on it, and it's all ready to go now.
Everything looks like it's just about ready for a road test.
A little bit of choke. I always enjoy taking one of these old girls out and putting her through her paces. Drive along pretty nice. High gear, 30 miles an hour. It's not a very fast car. You get a lot of looks from people, that's for sure. Taking some of these older cars out on test drives, people just want to push you right out of the way. They're either honking because they're happy or they're honking because they're mad you're holding them up. A lot of the younger people just kind of look at you and like, wow, what's that? Just give them a little ooh with the horn. And everybody gives you a thumbs up. There we go. Once you get her up to speed, it's not so bad. Oh yeah, she goes nice now. Woo-hoo-hoo! Get her up on 2 wheels around there. We got 35 miles an hour out of her. Woohoo, that's awesome. I feel pretty good about my fix. Doesn't seem to be overheating. I'm in the green zone. It's staying right around 170. No overheating equals happy customer equals happy Brad. He's gonna be happy. This car's perfect again.